Hello there, I'm going to be showing you how to fix a cracked screen on this Toshiba laptop, a Toshiba Sattelite, the model number of C655D-S5057. Some important tools that you'll need for this are a screwdriver set, though the only bit you will need is a small Phillips to take out the screws. There's no special star bits or anything like that in this laptop. So, I always find it handy to work with a pair of gloves just to keep your hands clean and also to make sure that you're not getting finger oils and grease on the components inside the laptop. And you may need some tape to hold back some wires, or when you're putting the screen back in, to hold the screen connector, the cable, to the back of the screen. And if you lose any screws or anything like that, it's always handy to have a little magnet, and these are just some nice rare earth magnets that are pretty strong, but any magnet will do, and just make sure to keep them away from the hard drive. So that's where we'll start. Okay, so here we have our laptop in question. It has a nice crack in the screen. Now before we start anything, before we take anything apart, you want to disconnect the battery. As with any electronic piece of equipment, make sure you take out the power source so you and the equipment does not get a nasty shock. This is actually quite simple, very easy to take apart here. You can see at the bottom there's a screw right there, and on the other side there's another one right there as well, and then on the top right here it's covered by a little black plastic, and on the top right here also covered by a little black plastic. These peel off easily and you can take them off with a little X-Acto knife. And what you want to do is just take your little screwdriver and put it down there. This one's actually easiest if you move the screen all the way back and then unscrew it from here. There you go. Do that on this side, and we'll also do it over here on this side. And then we'll do it for the top on both of these right here, and then we'll take this bezel off. Okay, so now that we have all the screws out, we have all four of these little screws taken out of the corners here. I'm just going to use a knife like this, simple knife, and just kind of gently find the seam and pry just one corner of it. That's all you need, and then from there you can gently just kind of run your finger down and it just snaps off. Don't be alarmed at the sound. There you go. And once it comes loose, it just kind of flops there like that. And there's some on the back of the screen as well, so you may need to get those with the knife if they don't come with your hand. Now this little piece of plastic is actually curved, so that's why it won't stay down on top. But anyway, as you can see, we have the screen right here. This is the screen, and it's held in place by these little screws right here. There's one up at the top, there's one in the middle right here, and one at the very bottom. And what we'll need to do is there's another set of screws on the bottom here on either side. We'll need to remove this bezel, which is quite easy. You just kind of pull up and out and it'll pop off and goes back in just the same. And we'll take out that screw on the bottom, and then this back plate will come off, and you have easy access to these screws. You can do it without doing that as well, but if you really want to get it done that way, you can. And then once you take that out, way down in the bottom there, you can see the connector to the screen. And just pull that out ever so gently, and we will go across that in just a moment. As we take this all out, put the new screen back in. Alright, now the next thing we have to be careful of is making sure that the screen that we received and the old screen are exactly the same type. Here we have the old screen. You can see the cracks right there. If we look on the back, you can see that the connector right here and the type of circuit board that it has. Also, you can get from these various different numbers if you want to cross-reference part numbers and everything. So grab the new screen As you can see, it looks about the same. The edges, I'm going to make sure that the screw holes are also going to match up. So if we look at the edges here, you can see that we have screw holes in all the places that we would on the old screen. Here's the back of the new screen. You can see the connectors in the same place, and it has the same type of circuit board. There's the old one for comparison. Though the circuit board is a little bit smaller, which is probably due to the fact that this laptop is a couple years old and this screen is newer. So technology's gotten better. But they look about the same. The connector is in the same position, so it's going to connect right away to the laptop. So we verified that everything's good there. And if you're curious, I'm wearing gloves so I don't get any finger oils on the new screen or any of the internal parts when we're working on it. It just keeps it cleaner, and that's how I like it. Okay, so here we have the internal part of the laptop where the screen is housed. We have the two brackets that hold the screen in place. These are made from steel. This is actually what moves when you move the laptop screen up and down. This is the hinges right here. We have the back plate, which has up here the microphone and the video camera, and most importantly we have the connector. Now this is obviously going to sit right there when the screen connects to it, and then we have this little bracket that kind of keeps it all looking nice and pretty. And just move that down. So what we want to do is take your screen, and we want to make sure that the connector on the bottom side is going to match up here. And what I like to do, just kind of hold it in, make sure it looks like it's going to fit in place. Everything looks good. Okay, so lay that down, and I have here all the screws and connectors that I needed to unscrew the laptop here, the screen at least. So let's get those out. And I do recommend storing these in a secure location. They are very, very small, and they can get lost easily. This happened to me before. Okay, so next, take this, and you can remove the little tape and plastic from the screen now. Set that aside. Now you just hold it up to one edge, and you take your little screwdriver and a screw, and since we have this first one up here, I'll try to give this to you from a couple different angles so it makes sense and then kind of flows together. There you go. So put the first two in here just to kind of give a nice little angle to test it from. What I like to do here after we get it put in is connect the cable, video cable here to the screen. You have to be kind of careful with these. They're very small and apparently really hard to get in. Should go in fairly easily once you get it aligned. And if yours doesn't have the tape on it, you can just use some regular Scotch tape to hold it in place. That's fine. Sometimes they need a little bit extra, especially if they've been taken out. So now I'm going to test to make sure that the screen functions. Go. Press the start button, and look at that. Beautiful screen starts up for us. Here's the... Oops. Looks like everything's working fine. I don't see any bad spots. I do see one little hot pixel right up here. But, it's not too bad. So let's see what happens. Start Windows. Okay, so we have the screen totally in place, and that's going to move with the brackets here. Okay, so we pretty much just have this bracket to put on after we've put the screen back with the back plate. So we have 4 screws on this one. We have one at the top here. And we have one also in this corner, one down here, and one down here. And they're all the same size, so you just screw those in quickly. This back plate also has some little plastic tabs that snap in to the front. So as you're going along, you can just kind of gently press along the sides to snap it all together, make it more or less one piece. There you go. We now have one laptop screen which has been replaced. We went from this broken screen, which has the crack all along here, to this nice brand new screen, which works perfectly.